If anyone ever tells you that Tinkerbell and the Lost Treasure is their favorite Tinkerbell movie, it's either one of three things. This is the only Tinkerbell movie they've ever seen. They are dumb, or they just like bad movies, because Tinkerbell and the Lost Treasure is the worst Tinkerbell movie, and I'm not a Tinkerbell hater as a franchise. Am I a Tinkerbell hater as herself? In this movie, 1000%. 1000%, I cannot stand her in this movie, and I'm sure the larger population who are seeing the Tinkerbell movies would share that sentiment. Would share that sentiment because Tinkerbell in Tinkerbell and the Lost Treasure is so she's a frustrating character. She's a frustrating character. So this is gonna be a rant review situation about Tinkerbell and the Lost Treasure, because I have many thoughts. Everybody actually pisses me off in this movie, not just Tinkerbell. I know people love to drag Tinkerbell all day. Everything is Tinkerbell's fault, whatever. No. Many people in this movie are just under my skin. Everybody's getting on my nerves, and I think everybody looks their worst in this movie. Not physically, but most of the fairies' worst personalities come out in this movie specifically. So I'm gonna talk about it. So I believe Tinkerbell and the Lost Treasure is the second Tinkerbell movie to ever be made. I believe, I could be wrong. And I just want to say, seeing the winter fairies in the intro already pisses me off, because first of all, if you've seen my first Tinkerbell video, which was about the first movie, you know how I feel about this bullshit about the winter fairies suddenly being like as a part of the Pixie Hollow universe and all of that. Because if you watch Secret of the Wings, Tinkerbell and the Secret of the Wings, they're not supposed to be like fucking with the winter fairies like that. Like, they're not supposed to know them on that level. But all of a sudden in these early movies, the winter fairies are everywhere. Everybody knows the winter fairies. The winter fairies are in the normal Pixie Hollow without dying, without getting like, you know, when they get sick when they're in Pixie Hollow in Secret of the Wings, which by the way is the best Tinkerbell movie. So I would like Disney to explain. I would like Disney personally to send me an email to be like, why the winter fairies are in Pixie Hollow in the earlier movies, and later on we're supposed to believe that none of them are supposed to interact with the Pixie Hollow fairies. It just doesn't make any sense, and it pisses me off every time, because if the winter fairies were in Pixie Hollow this entire time, surely Tinkerbell would have known she had a twin sister. That's all I'm saying though. That's a side thing. The winter fairies aren't even the topic about this movie. The topic of this movie is mostly Tinkerbell's idiocy and just like a level of like empty brain syndrome. It's really an agitating experience. But the movie kind of starts with the pixie dust fairies, aka Terrence, one of the greatest characters in the Tinkerbell universe. I'm very Terrence biased. He is a bit irritating in this movie though, because you know, whenever I see people talking about this movie, they put all of the blame on Tinkerbell, but Terrence does some really annoying shit in this movie that the blame needs to be shared, but Tinkerbell's obviously the worst one. But the movie starts with Terrence, and all of the other pixie dust fairies, including Fairy Gary, Terrence's boss, is kind of like teasing him because he's always with Tinkerbell and he always wants to help Tinkerbell with stuff.
Oh, Aaron! And stuff!
Why are you guys talking like that?
Because they're just such good friends. We all know there's something deeper than that friendship. And I've always been like, ever since I was a child and I saw this movie, I've been always really irritated that we can all see they like each other. Everybody knows that they like each other, and even when they talk to each other, it's not giving friendship. It's like very much like, oh, they are together, you know what I mean? And it's especially irritating that after this movie, you don't see Terrence a lot anymore, and like the Terrence Tinkerbell dynamic is barely present. I don't like that, because I actually think Terrence and Tinkerbell have they have great chemistry in this movie. It does not show that much at times. Their relationship seems kind of rocky in this movie, but I see the vision, you guys. They like one of the strongest ships in my head of like fictional characters. Okay, I really like them together, and I'm sad that I guess I need to like go and search on AO3 for Terrence X Tinkerbell fan fiction, so I can fill the Terrence X Tinkerbell hole in my heart. I think that's the move now. But also at the start of the movie, what Tinkerbell needs help with is she's trying to build a like ship so that it makes delivering fairy dust easy for the pixie dust fairies. I don't know I'm like flipping between fairy dust, pixie dust, dust keeper. I think they technically called dust keeper fairies, but I think we all know what I mean. She's trying to build a boat to make deliveries easier. So Terence is helping her, and Tinkerbell is failing at this, and she's really hard on herself. This is like a main factor of the movie. Tinkerbell is really hard on herself this entire movie. She gets her temper is quite short. Her temper is quite short, and as somebody with a short temper who gets frustrated when things don't go the right way immediately, this is my thing. I get her because I also react the same way. And it is really irritating when things aren't perfect the first time you try it. So I see her, she's just really hard on herself in this movie. Like, everything must be perfect immediately, and it never is. So she's really hard on herself, but in the process of doing this whole delivery thing or whatever, Queen Clarion calls Tinkerbell. And if you've watched my first Tinkerbell video, you know who I think the main villain in Pixie Hollow is. I hate Queen Clarion. If you like Queen Clarion, you should like stop watching me, because I hate Queen Clarion. If you didn't see my first video, let me just give you a summary. I think she's a classist bitch. She's she's an unfair ruler. She's just not good at her job. Queen Clarion is a terrible ruler. She's just bad at everything. She's a fucking bitch. I don't like her. I don't like Queen Clarion. Actually, I don't know if I said it in my first video. Do you know who I think should be in charge of Pixie Hollow? Fairy Mary, or even Fairy Gary. Do I think Fairy Gary has the emotional stability to run Pixie Hollow? No, but I do think it would be kind of a vibe. Fairy Mary could run the shit out of Pixie Hollow. She would run that shit like it's the Navy. I'm saying Fairy Mary, she always has she has things down. She knows the systems get things done. She's always on top of it. She actually manages Pixie Hollow. If we see her, she always has a clipboard, she has the abacus. What does Queen Clarion do? Just walk around like this. She just walks around, flowing wings, bitch. Like, she does nothing. And I think we should abolish that system. Yeah, that's my thoughts on Queen Clarion. Nobody asked. But once again, I still hate Queen Clarion. But Queen Clarion calls Tinkerbell in for something. Tinkerbell thinks she's in trouble because Tinkerbell's always in trouble. Here we get the main part of the movie. Basically, autumn is coming, and they do this thing called the autumn revelry, where there is a blue harvest moon that happens like once in a long time, and when the blue moon shines on the scepter, there's a crystal. I'll find out what it is. There's a crystal in the scepter that when the blue moon shines on that scepter, fairy dust is created, and it's really important for the Pixie Hollow living situation, because they need that fairy dust. You know what I mean? They really need that fairy dust. Which I also have a side question about this fairy dust thing. I know I've seen fairy dust in other fairy movies and whatever, but if they need the fairy dust to fly, why do they have wings? It seems like it's inefficient nature design. Do you know what I mean? Because if I had wings and I still couldn't fly like a chicken, I'd be kind of like, did we need this shit in the first place? Do you know what I mean? But they need this fairy dust. So this is a very important event, and every time this blue harvest moon happens, a different fairy department is chosen to make the scepter. Yeah, I have a problem. I know I pick on these movies hardcore because it doesn't make sense, but this part really doesn't make sense to me. And I was thinking about it this entire movie. The entire time I was rewatching this, I was like, this shit makes no sense. So a different fairy department makes the scepter every time, okay? And I will show you what the scepters look like. This isn't just like a stick with something on it. Like, this is like a intricate design. And my question comes from the fact that when in the first movie, as we know, Tinkerbell was like freaking out. She didn't want to be a tinker, so she was trying everybody's talents, all of the other talents, light fairies, water fairies, all of that shit. And what we learned in that movie, because everybody told her, Tinkerbell, you cannot do talents that you weren't assigned to basically when you came to Pixie Hollow. Like, it's impossible. All of them said it's impossible, and we saw Tinkerbell, no matter how hard she tried, she was literally unable to do it. It's not like she was bad at it. She was literally unable to do it. So if they are literally unable to do anything that's out of their talent, according to the first movie, because we're going in chronological order, and I know I shouldn't be shocked since they decide to change the rules of Pixie Hollow every movie, I'm just confused, because how are the flower fairies, the water fairies, and all of that making scepters if they can't tinker? Because this is like feat of engineering level creation. This is artistry, and I'm seeing the light fairies making a scepter. I'm seeing water fairies making a scepter. What do the fast flying fairies know about creation and engineering? They shouldn't be able to do that. But anyway, for the first time in a long while, the Tinkers are chosen to make a scepter. Well, yeah, you would think they were making the scepters all along, because apparently they're the only people who can make shit, but not anymore. So why do we need Tinkers if anybody can make shit? Not the point though. The Tinkers are chosen to make the new scepter for the Blue Harvest Moon, and they choose TinkerBell to make the scepter. This is weird because TinkerBell notoriously fucks up everything. She's terrible. At high stress situations, she's always catching on shit, and this is made even worse with the fact that the scepter has that blue diamond on top. I found out I need to stop calling it the blue diamond, the moonstone. The scepter has a moonstone on top, and the moonstone is very, very, very fragile. And the moonstone is what creates the fairy dust. So that thing is very important. And Fairy Mary is already very stressed because she's like, fuck, Tinkerbell is incompetent. Something's gonna happen to that moonstone. But they choose Tinkerbell anyway, and I simply wouldn't do that because this is my thing. I know Tinkerbell's talent was the one that glowed when she was born, which is a very rare thing. It's the first time it's happened to any fairy since Vidya, which we don't know how old Vidya is, but still. If I was a tinker, I would be like, oh, like when am I gonna get my chance? Because Tinkerbell gets all of the chances. Everything that needs to be done, they make Tinkerbell do it. And like if I was a tinker and I also enjoyed a good tinkering moment, I would also be like, well, what if I had some good ideas for the Moonstone? You know what I mean? And I actually think Bobble and Clank should have gotten a chance. I trust those guys with my life, and I think they should have been given the opportunity. I would actually choose. I'm a Fairy Mary stan. I think Fairy Mary should be the next. Any position of power should go to Fairy Mary. I wish Fairy Mary made it. I would like to have seen what she could come up with. But anyway, they give the opportunity to Tinkerbell for some godforsaken reason. I don't know. When Terence finds this out, he's obviously really excited because the Moonstone creates fairy dust, and that's kind of his department. So like this is obviously really important to like him because that's a part of his lore, his history. So he asked Tinkerbell, can I help you and whatever? And Tinkerbell's like, yeah, sure, Terence, because you know they kind of have a thing going. Unfortunately, here's where we get the problems of the movie. Terence is a bit over-eager, overexcited. He's like overbearing. He's constantly like hovering around Tinkerbell while she's trying to get the stuff done. Tinkerbell's getting very obviously agitated, understandably so. Terence is being really annoying. Terence needs to take a step back, stay away from her. In fact, because Tinkerbell is already a clumsy ass bitch, the Moonstone is fragile. I would proceed with caution, and also he's kind of mansplaining her own talent to her because he's telling her, oh no, you need to put it like this, needs to be at this angle, da-da-da. Dude, she's literally an engineer. She was born, came out of the fairy womb, the flower, an engineer, full degree. You are a fairy dust fairy, a dust keeper, in fact. I would take a step back. Because this is Tinkerbell's thing, and Tinkerbell was obviously getting very irritated that he's mansplaining to her. But this is also where I kind of fault Tinkerbell a bit, because this is a problem in multiple movies. Tinkerbell genuinely seems to have a problem with healthy communication. She should in fact tell Terence, yo, take a step back, I'm feeling a but she doesn't, and if she did, we wouldn't have a movie and I would not be talking about it. But I think that could have solved most of the problems in most movies if she just like spoke up. But Terence is being Terence, and then Tinkerbell's getting annoyed because she needs to finish this on time for the Blue Harvest Moon, I guess. So she sends him out to be like, Terence, just find me something sharp. Not that she needed it, she just needed him out of her area because she was getting irritated. So Terence goes to like that beach cove like from the first movie where Tinkerbell gets her lost things, and he finds a compass. It looks giant compared to them because like they're fairies, but it's a normal size compass, and he brings that back to Tinkerbell because the needle in the compass is sharp, obviously. When he brings it back to Tinkerbell's house, disaster literally struck, and it was pretty bad. Tinkerbell's really irritated with Terence because he brought back this giant round thing because the compass is closed, so she doesn't know there's something sharp in there. He's trying to explain it to her. She gets irritated. She knocks over the compass, which knocks over the scepter she has spent like a week making. Totally crushes it. Luckily the Moonstone wasn't in it yet. The Moonstone was still on the table, but the whole scepter is completely crushed, and she blames Terence completely for this. And it's like, I guess like this is a very reasonable crash out. I would also be really irritated, and you know what, I'll give a grace in this moment. It's okay to sometimes lash out in a high stress situation, but as we'll see later, she just should have apologized, because she did realize she was wrong later, but she had too much of an ego to apologize. And I just think that she should have like, it's okay, you know what, it's okay in this moment, this is actually a really terrible thing to happen. I would just, unfortunately, in her rage, she screams at Terence, and Terence gets mad, obviously, so he leaves. And now Tinkerbell is even more mad because she just fought with a friend. So she knocks over this dumbass compass again and crashes the moonstone. But now she can't. She still tries to blame Terence, I believe, because Terence brought the compass and she fought with Terence. But like this time, you broke the moonstone. That's the thing. You broke the moonstone. And this is an issue. This is a big issue. Terence obviously storms off. He finds Silvermist. Silvermist just tells him, like, I think about is like, she'll come around, to worry about it, let it go. But anyway, Tinkerbell's very freaked out, obviously, because without the moonstone, how is this? There's not gonna be fairy dust for like 8 years, a decade. I don't know. There's not gonna be fairy dust. People aren't gonna be able to fly anymore. Which, by the way, why do you have wings when you? Anyway, Tinkerbell ends up getting invited to like the fairy theater by Bobble and Clank, and she decides to go because she knows Fairy Mary will be there. And while she's at the theater, she asks Fairy Mary, like, yo, like casually, because she doesn't want anyone to know that she wrecked the moonstone, which, once again, like, number one, they shouldn't have given this to Tinkerbell anyway, because this is exactly what was gonna happen. Take one look at it in the first movie and you could have predicted the plot of this movie. Also, I think this could have been a moment of accountability for Tinkerbell. Like, obviously, everybody was going to be mad at her again, but I think there would have been a better, more constructive way to solve this broken moonstone thing if she just went to Fairy Mary in the first place and she like pulled her aside and she was like honest about, this is what happened. I'm sorry, I'll do what needs to be done. Do you know what I mean? Because the movie ends up going like a really weird path right now. And like the second half of this movie kind of feels like a fever dream. I cannot lie. Things jump very fast, okay? But she goes to Fairy Mary playing it casual and she's like, yo, are there any more moonstones? Not that like I need one. Obviously the moonstone's fine. I wouldn't do anything to the moonstone, but like if I needed another one, like where's the moonstone at? And Fairy Mary tells her that they have only found one moonstone in the past 100 years, and without it, Pixie Hollow would have been like absolutely ruined. No fairy dust means like most of this shit can't get done. So like, it's a good thing you taking good care of that moonstone, Tinkerbell. So Tinkerbell literally faints. She's like, I cannot do this right now. And now Tinkerbell is very annoyed that she has to stay in this theater right now because everybody thought she was just casually at this theater. So now she needs to stay and watch the whole performance. By the way, about this theater, this is peak art, I must say. Like the visuals, if I was a pixie, I would be at the theater all day. The performance quality is next level. Like, I think Hollywood and actually Bollywood should also take some inspiration from the Pixie Hollow theater. I think that was beautiful. Their performance was beautiful. But during this performance, the theater fairies are telling the story of some pirates who are looking for like some fairies and whatever, and these pirates end up finding this murder of Encanta, I believe it's called, and the pirates, and this murder can basically like grant you any wish you want, but the murder only has 3 wishes, and the pirates used 2 of them, and then the pirate ship sank. Kind of, I think it sank, but we see it later on, or it goes missing or whatever. But it's important that the pirates already used 2 of the wishes, meaning there's only 1 left, but this murder can grant you whatever you want. So Tinkerbell hears this, and she hears the clues of where to find, because there's this riddle of where to find the murder. So she hears this and she's like, well, I guess I can't tell anybody about this stone situation. I'm gonna just go there, wish for a new stone, or wish for the stone to be fixed, and I'm gonna do this in time for the blue harvest moon situation type deal, and I'm gonna save the day. Which, this is a very convoluted solution, but sure. Knowing that this is the plan, and then if you skip to the end of the movie, you're gonna be so frustrated. If you've never seen this before and you don't know how this ends, the ending is very frustrating that we did all of this for. But anyway, so she decides she's gonna go find that murder of Encanta and solve everything before anybody notices that anything went wrong in the first place. So the distance is quite far to go and find the murder, so she decides like she needs more pixie dust to get there. But the thing is, all fairies can can only have a certain amount of fairy dust. So she goes to Fairy Gady and she's like, yo, can I get some extra fairy dust? And he was like, yo, absolutely not. I fuck with you, Tinkerbell, but I cannot do that. You know the rules. So then she goes to her friends and she's like, guys, love you guys so much. Would you mind giving me some of your fairy dust, like just a little bit, and then it adds up and then I have enough? And they were like, no. But Silvermist goes and tells her to talk to Terence. So Tinkerbell, who had a fight with Terence and did not apologize to him, goes to him, and instead of apologizing, she just asks him for more stuff. And he's kind of hurt by this because he's like, yo, like, we had like a big fight. You haven't been talking to me. We're supposed to be tight like that, and you just come here and ask me for more stuff. Tinkerbell takes offense to that and says, well, Terence, if you were a true friend, you would have helped me out. Tinkerbell, that is so selfish. That is literally so selfish. She's a terrible friend in most movies. In most of the Tinkerbell movies, Tinkerbell's a terrible friend, like, if you get down to it. But like, this was a bit too far. And this is where, like, I think Tinkerbell's actions are a bit unforgivable, because she's had time to calm down. And she needs to learn how to regulate her emotions better, because like, while Terence was being overbearing, it was not his intention to hurt her. Do you know what I mean? I just feel like the whole situation could have been easily prevented. I think the whole movie could have been prevented if they just gave the scepter opportunity to somebody else. Not Tinkerbell, because she's problematic. Obviously. For her journey, she ends up making a hot air balloon, and she uses the compass Terence got in the hot air balloon. So like, see what's useful now, girl. See what's useful now. But anyway, she has the compass in the hot air balloon, and while she's flying over, she made like her own map and whatever based on the riddle. But while she's flying over, there's a swarm of fireflies, and one of them ends up in Tinkerbell's hot air balloon and eats up all of her food, which she's really mad about. Obviously, I'd be mad too. And listen, I don't like bugs. I really hate bugs. But the bug that ends up in her hot air balloon, his name is Blaze, is so cute. Blaze is the highlight of the movie. I cried for Blaze. I cried for him on multiple occasions. He's just a baby. Like, that's just a baby, and he's so helpful, and he just wants to be pals with girl Tinkerbell, even though she's kind of a bitch, and he would be better off without her. But he wants to be pals with her, and he's just the cutest. But basically, Tinkerbell actually didn't want Blaze along with her at all. Like, she was actually really mean about it, but then she realized at nighttime she can't see without him because he's a firefly, so she basically keeps him around as a Human Torch, as in the Human Torch, Johnny Storm from... Anyway, I'm not gonna go there because I can talk about that for a while, but I'm not gonna go there. So later on, Tinkerbell finds the arch that she was looking for as a part of the clues while she thinks she finds the arch, and then she leaves Blaze to guard the hot air balloon while she checks out the arch, which is dumb because Blaze is a bug. If anything happens to the hot air balloon, what can Blaze do? Nothing. But anyway, Blaze is guarding the hot air balloon, but then strong winds come, and the wind is like starting to push the hot air balloon. So Blaze tries to get Tinkerbell's attention, but she's not listening to him at all, and then the hot air balloon flies away with all of this stuff inside, and Tinkerbell is... You know what, she gets over this very quickly, but initially she like screamed at Blaze, being like, why didn't you warn me? Which is like, can't do this. How long can we do this for, Tinkerbell? Tinkerbell, I need you to be realistic and serious for a second. I need you to be serious and real. Get over yourself. But anyway, so the hot air balloon flies away. She apologizes to Blaze for like freaking out, but obviously this stuff is gone. To make matters worse, Tinkerbell is then knocked out by the wind, like fully knocked out by the wind, and she like falls down, and she has like a vision, a nightmare about her and Terence's fight. And she feels really bad about it. But when she wakes up, she's like completely lost. She doesn't know where she is. But Blaze is there, and Blaze calls the other insects and animals, it's really cute, to come and help her. And all of these insects come together to help Tinkerbell like get back on her feet. They give her water, I believe, and she asks them to help her take her to the arch that she's looking for, like the actual arch. So they help her, and they have to help her like walk as well because she can't fly because she lost all of her fairy dust. Which, once again, why have wings? Why do we have wings, guys? What's the wings for? I don't know. On the way, she ends up finding the compass from the hot air balloon that fell down, and she realizes that the needle in the compass is actually sharp, just like Terence said, and she had no reason to yell at him. Well, duh, Tinkerbell, you should have checked that earlier on. But anyway, they end up finding the arch, and back at Pixie Hollow, everybody's like getting ready for the change of seasons and the festival and all of that. They're really excited. They still don't know where Tinkerbell is, but Terence is really upset, and he goes and talks to the all-wise owl, which is just a normal owl that they pretend is wise, which I think this was actually a really funny scene. Terence is just like complaining about his problems that the owl keeps on asking who, which forces Terence into a self-reflection moment where he realizes he needs to go help Tinkerbell, find Tinkerbell, apologize to Tinkerbell, whatever.
Tink. She blames me for breaking the scepter. Who? Tink. I know she's under a lot of pressure, but she shouldn't have treated me that way. She should apologize. Who? Me.
The owl is actually one of the best parts of the movie because Fairy Gary also comes to talk to the owl because he's upset that people keep on making fun of his kilt, which is really sad, but like the owl also helps him with some self-reflection with the who. Anyway, Terence goes to Tinkerbell's house to go and apologize, and then he notices that she's not there, and he also sees the broken moonstone, which he was obviously like, well, you know, that's quite bad. But then he also finds the plans for the hot air balloon and the plans to find the mirror, so now he knows where she's going. Back with Tinkerbell, however, she ends up finding the shipwreck where the mirror is supposed to be, and her and Blaze actually end up finding the mirror. And this is so agitating. I'm so... Tinkerbell is looking at the mirror and she's like getting ready to say a wish. And Blaze, he's curious because he's just a baby. Blaze is just a baby. He's so cute, innocent. He's just like, if I'm Tinkerbell, the mirror is here and Blaze is here. He's not here. He's not over the mirror. He's just kind of here. Tinkerbell can still see the mirror, but Tinkerbell has a short temper and she's irritable and she's getting very annoyed by Blaze. So she snaps at Blaze, and do you know what this bitch says? You know, if I found a mystical mirror that could only grant me one wish at this point, I'd be very careful, paranoid, unconscious about what I'm doing in that moment. I don't know why Tinkerbell... That's the thing about this movie. Tinkerbell goes through this whole journey just to fuck up right at the end. Like, no brain power, no brain processing power. Like, really, this is the engineer of our future. Are we serious? She's such an embarrassment. But anyway, Blaze is a bit too close to comfort for Tinkerbell. So do you know what she says? I just wish you would be quiet for a minute.
Blaze, I wish you'd be quiet for 1 minute.
Are we serious right now? Are we all there? Can we get real? She says, I wish you'd just be quiet for a minute. So Blaze's light goes out and he's completely silent and mute now, and Tinkerbell used up her last wish. Are we... I have no words. I couldn't even feel bad for her in that moment. I literally could not empathize with her at all. Because, are we serious right now? Like, you have to be messing with me. You genuinely have to be messing with me. Luckily, Tinkerbell finally accepts that all of this is her fault, and she finally takes accountability. She apologizes to Blaze. And keep in mind, Blaze is only, like, the wish was only for Blaze to be silent for a minute. So Blaze is fine. Like, he's like, it's gonna come back. It's gonna be okay. But she's, like, crying, and she's like, this is all my fault. And she's crying, holding the mirror. And she's, like, thinks about Terence and how bad she feels about, like, this whole Terence thing. And Terence appears in the mirror, like in the reflection of the mirror, and she's like, Terence, I'm so sorry, I wish I could tell you I'm so sorry. And Terence says something like, it's okay. And then she's like, I wish you were really here to say this. And he was like, I am here. No, wait, this is actually funny. He's like, I am here. And she's like, no, I wish you were really here. And he was like, I literally am here. And she turns around. The reason she sees Terence's reflection is because Terence is actually there. He's behind her.
I was wrong. I wish you were here.
I am here.
I know you are, but I mean really here, with me.
I am with you.
No, I mean here, Terence, right next to me.
I'm standing behind you.
Which I actually think that was a really funny part of the movie. But anyways, Terence basically found her hot air balloon, and he still extra faded us just to find her, by the way. She should be more grateful about this, but anyway, he still extra faded us just to find her, and that's how he got there to her so quickly. Which, listen, I know Terence has extra faded us, but it took Tinkerbell multiple days to get there, and Terence got there in a few hours, which I just don't understand how that works. I simply do not understand how that works, but like, sure, let's go along with it. There's weirder things that could happen, and they make up or whatever, but then they also get attacked by rats in the shipwreck for some reason, but they fight them off, everything's fine, and they start making their way back. Terence also brought the broken scepter and the broken moonstone with, because like they're cutting it very close on the time, So Tinkerbell was gonna have to like sort things out in the hot air balloon on the way back. So while she's sorting stuff out, like trying to look at it, she uses Blaze as like a light so that she can see what she's doing. But while she shines the light on the broken moonstone, she realizes the light reflections is a lot more off of the broken pieces than it was on the full stone. And then her parents realize that this could end up making more pixie dust, like the broken pieces, a bunch of the broken pieces could make more pixie dust than one whole moonstone. Which, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's how it works. I don't know physics, but like I'm shocked nobody thought about this before. But maybe that's the difference between Tinkers making a scepter and like the fast flying fairies making a scepter. I think that's the difference. But I feel like, yeah, exactly. But anyways, it was now time for the Blue Harvest Moon ceremony, and everybody's freaking out because Tinkerbell isn't there yet, and Fairy Mary has not seen Tinkerbell or the scepter. They're very worried, but the ceremony starts anyway. And Tinkerbell and Terrence end up making this grand entrance on the hot air balloon. And when Tinkerbell's like, "I have the scepter, don't worry, guys," she pulls it out. Everybody sees the broken pieces. They are horrified. They were like, absolutely not. Like, are we serious right now? But Tinkerbell's like, "Guys, don't worry, you'll see when the moon comes." And as I said, the moon comes, shines on the broken stones, and they have a lot more fairy dust than they ever have. Like, it's actually a really cool moment. Like, everybody's really happy. Like, it's just a good time. Do you know what I mean? But I was also watching this movie when I rewatched it. I was watching it with my friends, and one of my friends said something very interesting that I never thought of before. This might have been the most selfish thing Tinkerbell has done ever, because while she is a tinker, and you know what, they have a talent for it. Every different department makes the scepter every other time this happens. The tiny pieces of the moonstone need to be in a very specific part for it to work. It can't just be willy-nilly, because that's what Tinkerbell explained, like it needs to be at a certain angle and all of that. So now, because she decided to break it up, well, she didn't decide to do that, but because it's broken and she didn't like find a way to solve that, every year now the scepter will have to be like in that exact design, or like at least structured that exact same way, because of the way Tinkerbell broke the stone. Because of the way Tinkerbell designed it, it needs to be in that specific design every time. And like, why does she do this? Do you know what I mean? Like, no other fairy would have done this. Also, about the other fairies, Vidya's in this movie, but like she never speaks. I guess they didn't like pay the voice actress because she's there. They talk to her, but she never answers back. And I think I would have liked to hear Vidya's commentary on this, because I'm sure Vidya would have said some shit that I was thinking this entire time. Because like, I'm mad. I'm quite mad about this. As you can tell, an old video about it. I am mad about it. But everybody's really happy. She shares the spotlight with Terrence. Bobble and Plank are also there. They made like a firework machine that they're really proud of. And things are good and dandy. The fairy dust tree is very beautiful. It's very amazing. The town is overflowing with some pixie dust. And the end of the movie shows the moral of the story, which this is what the movie believes is the moral of the story. I actually don't agree. I don't think we saw any of this. But the moral of the story is the treasure of true friendship will never lose its glow. What? Okay, if that's what you got from the movie, sure. I think it's more apologize to your friends when you lash out at them. Be a better friend. Be more conscious of your situation. Do not blame others for your errors. I think that would be a better lesson for Miss Tinkerbell and anybody watching it, because Tinkerbell is very badly behaved. Tinkerbell is a bad friend, badly behaved, kind of a disaster, walking disaster. And once again, Queen Clarion, well, you shouldn't have let Tinkerbell be in charge of this in the first place. You should have chosen Fairy Mary. You shouldn't be in charge anyway. Fairy Mary should be in charge. And that's what I got from this movie. I don't know about anybody else, but that's what I got from this movie. But anyway, that's my thoughts on Tinkerbell and the Lost Treasure. I know this is like a way shorter video than my normal videos, but like, who cares, guys? Who actually cares about how long my videos are? My next video will probably be, hopefully, Pokemon. I don't know anymore. Pokemon's taking forever. So if it's not Pokemon, it will probably be another Dog Diaries or another movie. I'll figure it out. But yeah, anyway, I'll see you guys next time. Bye!